Honorary doctorates are awarded where an individual, or a pair in this case, have achieved something particularly noteworthy or remarkable that goes above and beyond the day job. That accomplishment is usually built on a solid technical base of knowledge and skills, and both Dr. Carey and Professor Hills have those. Dr. Carey graduated with a BSc in Geology from the University of St Andrews and a PhD from the University of Kiel. She is a Fellow of the Geological Society and a Chartered Geologist. Professor Hills obtained a BSc in Geology and an MSc in Industrial Petrology from Queen Mary, followed by a PhD in Environmental Engineering from Imperial College. His PhD and postdoctoral research involved waste stabilisation and solidification. He joined the University of Greenwich in 1999, ultimately becoming Chair in Environment and Materials Engineering in 2014. He was also a Chartered Scientist, Fellow of the Royal Society of Chemistry, Fellow of the Geological Society of London, and member of a number of other professional bodies. Both initially followed their own professional paths. Dr. Carey's first appointment was as a senior demonstrator in the Department of Geology at the University of Liverpool. In 1985, she was appointed a lecturer in the Department of Geology at the then City of London Polytechnic, which was later to become Thames Polytechnic and then ultimately the University of Greenwich. Initially, Dr. Carey continued her work in the Scottish Highlands and was awarded a mapping contract to the British Geological Survey to produce sheet 73E, the Foyer sheet 1 to 50,000 scale geological map. Knowing there was no research funding in pre-Cambrian geology, Dr. Carey developed her interest in engineering geology instead, initially by taking a 3-month sabbatical to gain experience with engineering and geology consultancies before running an undergraduate program in that same subject, and then taking on the MSc in Geomaterials when it transferred from Queen Mary. In 1998, Dr. Carey also ran the MSc in Contaminated Land Remediation. Now, as you may have gathered, Dr. Carey's expertise is in the area of the durability and performance of construction materials, including aggregates, building stone and concrete, as well as solidified and stabilised wastes. She co-authored the science review associated with the National Guidance on Stabilisation and Solidification Technology for the Environment Agency in 2004. She has published and presented approximately 77 papers and articles, including 21 journal papers and 4 patents. She was also the co-director of the Centre for Contaminated Land Remediation. Professor Hills has spent most of his career with solid waste and geologically derived materials in both an academic and industrial research context. Immediately after completing his BSc, he worked as a field geologist in the UK for the British Geological Survey, followed by a Masters in Geomaterials and assignments in West Africa and the Middle East. On return to the UK, he undertook industrial research and development on the application of waste in construction products for Redland Technology and a number of other companies. This experience led directly to a research appointment in his PhD at Imperial, with a UK EPSRC government scholarship. Professor Hills held various research fellowships at Imperial, Queen Mary and the University of Surrey before his research position at the University of Greenwich. It was while at the University of Greenwich that their mutual interests in combating pollution and addressing sustainability led to a radical new idea based on some of Professor Hills' earlier research. It was also around this time that I first became aware of their research. I was a newly appointed dean at the university and had heard stories about an eccentric professor who was collecting banana skins. There was a box with them outside of his office. Now, I didn't know what to make of this. I had a number of thoughts, various images, all the way from episodes of You Being Framed, through to stories about trippids and something that had escaped out of a John Wyndham novel. What it was, however, was about the use of carbonation to address issues of land remediation, climate change, and the need to provide cheap building materials in developing countries. In response, What Dr. Carey and Professor Hills did was they used their combined knowledge to develop a new technology that could be used to address all three challenges. In essence, they were bubbling carbon dioxide through contaminated materials such as soil or residues from industrial processes, such as from cement manufacture, to create a mineralization process that locked up the CO2 and the contaminants that were in the land into a stable and above all safe building aggregate that could be used to build roads, houses, schools, and so on. The technology did not require complicated equipment or the shipping of lots of raw material for hundreds of miles, which would have created its own pollution. Literally, you could take highly toxic waste and turn it into something safe and usable on site. The technology can be taken to wherever the source of the pollution is and dealt with in situ, capturing carbon dioxide directly from flue gases without the need for purification. The resultant aggregate is genuinely carbon negative. There are very few products that can honestly make that claim. Armed with this idea, they created a spin-out company, Carbon8 Systems Limited. That was in 2006. Success was not easily won. It took a lot of personal sacrifice for both, not just the hours of research and developing business cases, although there were lots of those. They took the lead in finding investment and even put up some of their own assets as collateral. This was a real passion project and went above and beyond the typical day job. However, that perseverance, appetite for risk and determination paid dividends. In 2009, the company won the Shell Springboard Award, the Kent Environmental Business of the Year, and the iChemE Green Chemistry Award. Now, Dr. Carey left the University of Greenwich in August 2010 to run Carbon8 Systems as its inaugural managing director. She was also the technical director of Carbon8 Aggregates Limited, a separate company formed that same year, also with Professor Hills, to commercialise the manufacture of aggregate by combining residues from waste plants with carbon dioxide. This world-first Carbon8 technology became commercially available in 2012, and the carbonated aggregates product won the UK Best Recycled Product in 2013. In 2017, this success was further recognised with the Queen's Award for Enterprise in the Innovation category. Since 2012, approximately 2 million tonnes of carbonated construction aggregates have been manufactured in the UK using this technology. The personal successes have continued. Dr. Carey was recognised as an inspiring woman in construction and engineering for technical excellence in 2022. Meanwhile, Professor Hills has continued to publish widely, including guidance on stabilisation and solidification for the UK and the US, and the UN Pan-European Global Environment Outlook and Sustainable Cities Report. He is an invited expert to the UN Basel Convention think tank for Asia and the Pacific, looking at waste and environmental management, and is currently developing a white paper on carbon dioxide mineralisation for the Indian government. The success of their technology and the result of their passion and dedication is truly going global. However, it is not all about the work. Dr. Carey is a keen musician, playing violin or viola in quartets and 5 different orchestral groups. She is a keen sportsman, having represented Scottish universities, Northern English universities and Cheshire at netball. Nowadays, her sporting activities are principally on the tennis court, where she represents her local club in the Kent League. Her other interests include bird watching, painting and drawing, which she's looking forward to do more of when she retires. She has also learned that flying with Professor Hills is a hazardous affair. She asserts that he manages to travel on planes that get struck by lightning, and even when they are not flying, they get hit by unseasonal snowstorms that cause public transport cancellations, diversions or road chaos. Needless to say, she chose to make her own way here today. Professor Hills, when not causing travel chaos, has 6 children, lives next to the sea in North Kent, does not own a dog, although we're fussing Lincoln the dog earlier, but he does have an ammonite and a geological hammer that he was given as a 9-year-old child when fascinated by rocks and fossils. Chancellor, I present to you Dr. Paula Carey and Professor Colin Hills for Honorary Doctorates in Science at the University of Chichester.
I'd really like to thank Vice-Chancellor, Pro-Vice-Chancellor, Chair of Government, and other members of the University of Chichester for this honour. I'm extremely grateful. But I have to admit the rug has been pulled out from underneath my feet because many of the things I wanted to say today have just been said in Professor Keats's talk and by the Vice-Chancellor earlier on. So I'm going to have to ad-lib a little bit, so please forgive me. I think I want to say that the university is a really special place. It's a seat of learning, and as an institution, it has the privilege of opening your mind to the possibilities and prepares you for the future. And I, like you, was an undergraduate, but a few more years ago. And it was a formative experience. And it's really important to be a stakeholder in your education. And being so, it enables you to recognize and appreciate the choices that are presented to you as you go through your career. And Chichester is just like my university. It's a place of opportunity, and long may it remain so. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Some has already been said, but I want to say that I had a thirst for knowledge, and it was not quenched by a first degree or a second degree, or even a PhD at what was then the premier university in the world. It was an amazing experience, but there's always something else to do, something else to explore. And I blame my parents for this, because my mother tells me that when I was 3, I used to literally crawl into her garden and collect rocks from her garden and try and collate those. And I think they encouraged me to be inquisitive, and that habit still hasn't left me. And my home is full of rocks, and 3 of my long-suffering children are here today, and they will confirm that is the case. But when you go out into industry and you work in the field, you start to notice things. You start to get a feel for how this planet works. And this planet is a fantastic teacher. And if we can take the processes that this planet does over geological timescales, and we can compress those into anthropogenic timescales, then we have a hope to manage the crisis that is coming our way very soon, and that is the effects of climate change. My move to Greenwich was seminal. Greenwich said to me, "Tell us what you want to do." I told them, they said, "Go do it." And that was shared by my colleague Paula here, who's also a recipient of this amazing award today. And that is what a university is about. It should allow people to explore. It should allow them to be creative and follow the things that they think are important. Clearly, not everybody can share those views with you, but a university should allow you to do so. Professor Keats was my old Pro-Vice-Chancellor. He's Deputy Pro-Vice-Chancellor here. He played an important role in what we've done. And as he said, he was able to recognize the potential of the technology we were trying to develop. And under his guidance, we were able to continue to flourish. I want to say that many of you that are sitting here will have uncertainty about your future. And I'm sure some of you will be thinking, where will I be in 5 years' time? Well, I tried to be in touch with some of my peers, my geology peers back from Queen Mary days. And I can tell you that some became teachers, some were professors like myself. We had taxi drivers, oil executives, and environmental consultants. And of those that I have spoken to, they've all been happy with their journey and all that is involved. And I think I want to say to you graduates today, take the opportunities that are presented to you, persevere, and whatever happens, don't look back, look forward. And with that, I want to thank the University of Chichester again for this really special honour. And I'll hand over to my colleague Paula, who I'm sure would like to say a few extra words. Thank you very much.
It's very difficult to follow on from Colin. Again, I'd like to reiterate our thanks to the University, to the Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, and particularly Simeon for recommending us for the Honorary Award. I have a long association with Chichester. My brother was the Bishop's chaplain here a long time ago, and services were interrupted not by the choir rehearsing, but there was an eagle owl trapped in the nave, so services were interrupted by hoots. Also, I was married about 5 miles down the road here at Boxgrove Priory, so it's lovely to be invited back here. The other thing I'd like to say is how nice it is to be able to represent women in science. We're a very underrepresented and unrecognised group of people. We need to increase the numbers of women in your engineering department. It's very sad to see that there are not many representatives of women in engineering here. We really need to do something about that. As part of my role in the Inspiring Women Award that Simeon mentioned earlier, I'm now a judge in the Construction and Engineering Inspiring Women Awards, and I'll be there next week awarding some of the prizes there. And it is really inspiring to see how women are breaking through the glass barriers or glass ceilings in engineering and science. And we really need to do a lot more to publicise women's activities and promote STEM subjects, particularly in our universities, get women doing science degrees. The other thing I'd like to say is I don't often get an opportunity to thank Colin. You can imagine that all the work I've been doing within the company, Carbon8 Systems, Carbon8 Aggregates, and now principally Carbon8 Systems, is down to Colin. And when he was appointed at the University of Greenwich, my life changed. I would have ended up being an academic or probably at an administration within the university, but Colin allowed me to restart my research activity and was very good at allowing me to leave the university in 2010 to run the company rather than doing it himself. So I owe Colin an awful lot with the new experience I've had of being an entrepreneur as opposed to an academic. But that aside, I would like to again thank the university for this award for us both. Thank you.